is Analyticalplum and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to be breaking down The Little Mermaid, just giving my opinions and my views on how I thought about it really. I'm not going to give you any indication of what I thought of it until the end of it, but yeah. I tried to make myself look like Ariel today. Like, I have red wing and everything, but I put a lot of effort into my hair today and I didn't really want to put the wig on. I made my eyes nice and green and I did the red, but the green is too light, so I look like a Tinkerbell wannabe at the moment. But I gave it a go. If you aren't new here, then I'd love if you was to subscribe. You wouldn't miss out any new videos I do. And I've got quite a few coming up. I've got a few ideas, so you will not be empty-handed. So we will just jump straight into it. I've got all of my notes with me. I am fully prepared. So The Little Mermaid opens up with a bunch of men on this ship trying to harpoon something in the water, and they all assume it's a mermaid. They're just trying to harpoon it, but Eric comes along, basically calls them stupid and that they're actually trying to harpoon a dolphin. So he prevents them from trying to harm anything really, and they go on to describe how it's really dangerous times at the moment because there's something called a coral moon, and they believe that this is where the Sea King calls his daughters to come to him, and together they lure men to their deaths, kind of like a siren would do. Eric's quite ambitious and he wants to see everything, he wants to do everything and just explore, and he wants to follow a Spanish galleon that he spots, but his butler Grimsby is like, no, we spent too much time out on the water, and so off they pack up and go back home. So we go over to said Sea King, King Triton, and he's called up all of his 7 daughters. However, one little mermaid is missing, and of course it's got to be Ariel. She is not there, so Triton orders Sebastian to go find her and bring her to him. But we find out that the reason why she didn't go to the meeting is because she's just looking around, exploring, trying to find some human artifacts, and they find a bunch of sunken ships which she has a look at, but they run into a shark and the shark tries to eat her and Flounder, where Flounder tried to prevent them both from going there in the first place, but they almost get eaten. They tricked the shark with a mirror and they were able to escape in the end. So then Scuttle comes diving into the water, and Ariel, basically the same as the original, queries about this new human artifact that she has got, which is a fork, but she doesn't know what it is, and Scuttle tells her that it is a dingle hopper and it's what humans use to comb their hairs to make it all nice and luscious. So then we go back to King Triton and we learn that the reason why he doesn't really let Ariel go near land or near humans or divulge herself in human artifacts is because he thinks that humans are barbarians. True, but in this context, give up a bit of hope. So Sebastian the Crab finds Ariel and brings her back, and this is where we first see Ursula, and it's revealed that she is Triton's sister who has been banished, and she brambles a monologue about how she's been exiled and driven to madness. She thinks she's finally discovered the one weakness of King Triton, being that of Ariel's little kink humans, essentially. So with this, she thinks she can slither in and try and take over and finally beat up her older brother. So then when Ariel goes back to King Triton, she gets a lecture, of course, because she went near the sunken ships, which are very, very dangerous, and she swims away, and Triton asks Sebastian the Crab to look over her and to make sure she's okay, staying out of trouble. And this is where we get part of your world. So after this, Ariel sees that there's some like flashes of something, like big booms from above. So she goes up to the land where she discovers that it's just fireworks and that there's a ship going past that are celebrating and like having a party. So there's lots of music, lots of drinking, just lots of noise. So she goes along and like follows them and just observes them. So Grimsby, who's the butler, stops Eric from participating in all of this madness because he doesn't think that's what he should be doing as a future king, because that day he turned 21, so it was his 21st birthday. He was like, no, 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 you shouldn't be doing this as future king. It's not how you're supposed to behave. And that's when we find out that he was actually adopted. So he isn't like blood related to the king and the queen, but they adopted him when he was little. So on a big turn of events, a really bad, terrific storm just comes swooping in. Eric gets knocked unconscious trying to save his dog, which is when Ariel saves him and takes him to shore because like the ship gets absolutely wrecked and it's like on fire and it's torn apart and it's a mess. So she serenades him with Part of Your World while he's asleep or unconscious, and then dives back into the water when his crewmates try and search for him and look for him. Ursula rambles on about her evil plans because she's exiled, and this is when we get Under the Sea. So we get a bit of more story on the Queen and Eric and like bits of life in the castle, and we find out that Eric's actually starting like a manhunt trying to find this woman who saved him, because he, even though he was like in and out unconscious, he didn't see who saved him, but he knows like the voice because Ariel was singing. So he's going on a manhunt trying to find this mysterious woman to try and like thank her essentially. But the queen don't like it. She doesn't like the water. She thinks it's very dangerous and that the Sea King is a very angry person. She doesn't like him being on the water, so she prevents him from doing that ever again basically, and makes him stay on the island for the rest of his life, and also stops him from searching for this woman because I mean understandably she thinks it's more important to prepare for becoming a king rather than running after a lady, but it's not my story. And then Eric gets his own little sing-song, which I thought was quite good. I quite like that. Something different. So back down under, Ariel's sisters start gossiping about her around King Triton, and they start mentioning how they think that Ariel's running off all the time because she's probably got like a secret lover, a secret mermaid lover. So Triton thinks that, oh, Ariel's in love with another mermaid. When he asks Sebastian about it, Sebastian the crab misunderstands and he blurts out about how Ariel saved Eric and that she actually interacted with the humans. So it's not good. Because Ariel disobeyed Triton, he finds Ariel's like secret place of human artifacts and destroys it all, just trying to say like this is your last chance to actually listen to me. He tells Ariel to forget about her obsession with humans and that they're just terrible species because they killed her mother, which is understandable to be honest. Not the killing part, I mean they're not like in humans part. So humans are savages and Ariel's all sad because she's obsessed with humans. But Ariel then FaceTimes her through a bubble saying that she can help her. We know that like through what Ariel says, they've been warned about Ursula and that she's not a nice person and that she's very trickery. So she was a bit hesitant, but she does it anyway. And then this is where the spell and everything is created, you know, poor unfortunate souls and all that. The whole thing with the spell is that before the sun sets after 3 days, Ariel has to get a true love's kiss from Eric and she will stay human But if not, then she'll turn back into a mermaid, and then Ursula will own her. She didn't really agree to it at first, but then she ended up going into it after some manipulation. She's human, but obviously she can't talk because she had to give up her voice, like her siren song, to Ursula. So off she goes up because she can't breathe underwater, and she's now a human. She's got legs. So then Ursula chats with her little seals, like seals? Eels, and mentions how she added a little something extra into the spell, and she mentions how Ariel will not remember that she's supposed to get true love's kiss. So she's being a bit sneaky there. So when Ariel tries to swim to like the island, she gets trapped in a fishing net, and the fisherman like finds her, covers her, and then takes her to the castle. So then all of the castle staff clean her up and clothe her, and the staff gossip about Eric and about how he's still looking for this mystery woman, which gives Ariel a bit of hope because she's like, that's me. And that he won't rest until he finds her. But then when she meets Eric, because he comes up to see her, he doesn't recognise her because she doesn't have her voice, and he only recognises the person who saved him through their voice. But Ariel does not have hers. He lets her stay at the castle, and all the staff thinks that Ariel is traumatised because she can barely walk and she can't talk, so they think that she's just traumatized. So Sebastian comes up and goes into Ariel's room, just have a chat with her, try to remind her and get her going about what she needs to do. But when he does, she gets like this blank, faraway look on her face, which is when he realizes that Ursula has tried, or has tricked Ariel and has made it almost impossible for her to actually complete her task. So then she wanders around the castle, and then she goes into this like library place, like study, where she bumps into Eric, and they have a nice good old chat. They start bonding, especially because he has, like Ariel with her human artifacts, he has a whole room full of like sea artifacts, and so she shows him a few things, and like there was a bit of rock that she smashes and shows him like a nice shiny rock. So they start bonding, and he teaches her like all about locations and stuff. So it's going along pretty good between them already. So Grimsby asks Eric if he still wants the carriages, like all the carriages, to be sent out to look for this mystery woman, and he still wants it. But Grimsby said he's going to leave one behind, so because you can see how long like him and Ariel are getting along, so that they can go explore the island, which is what they end up doing. This is when we get Kiss de Gueule. Sebastian tries to get them to kiss multiple times throughout their travels and their journeys to make sure she stays human, but it doesn't end up going very well. Eric learns Ariel's name because he can read like the star constellations. So he learns that, and when they go to kiss, Ursula's eels knock the boat over that they were in. So they were very, very close. So then Ursula starts shooting bricks, and she's like, they're very close. How did this happen? So she decides that she's gonna get first-hand experience in making sure they don't kiss. So at this point, there's only one sunset left out of the 3 days, and she turns herself human and goes on the island. When Grimsby asks Eric if he still wants to continue this search, he's a bit confused because he's starting to like, you can see he's falling for Ariel, and Grimsby's like their number one shipper because he encourages Eric to look at what's in front of him rather than chasing after this woman that he, to be honest, could have hallucinated this whole time. So when Eric is like reminiscing on the sea, he hears the singing again. And so when he goes to check it out, he finds this lady there singing. It's the same voice as who saved him. So it's the next day, and everyone's really excited because there's news that Prince Eric is going to propose. And so everyone's excited, staff are excited, Ariel's excited, and everyone assumes it's Ariel because they've been like two peas in a pod. But when Ariel goes to find Eric, it's not Ariel. he's going to propose to. It is Ursula, but Ursula is a human, and Ursula has bewitched Eric, unfortunately. So, bad news for Ariel. It don't seem likely that she's going to be human anymore. Grimsby, at this point, is majorly confused because he was like, you had your arms wrapped around another lady a second ago, what happened there? But he tries to support them anyway. So then when they all go off, Ariel's really sad, and Scuttle flies around because she hears Ariel singing, only to discover that it was Ursula. So she goes flying back and lets everyone and Ariel know, everyone being like Flounder and Sebastian the Crab and Ariel, that it's actually Ursula, and Ursula's been tricking and bewitching Eric. So Ariel runs to get her man. Flounder runs to go get Triton and tells him everything what happens, and it's all going down at this point. It's very, very nearly sunset, and there's an engagement party happening where Eric's gonna propose, and Scuttle and Grimsby indirectly work with each other to prevent the proposal from happening. Scuttle like smacks the ring out of Eric's hand. Grimsby like kicks it away, so they're both trying to stop it from happening. And then Ariel comes running in, beats up Ursula kind of, and takes her necklace and smashes it on the floor, which is when her voice comes out and she gets her voice back, like, ah. And that is when Eric realises that it was Ariel all along, because she got her voice back. So they were chatting, and then they go to kiss, but oh no, sunset, too late, and Ariel turns back into a mermaid. Queen is horrified. She thinks there's loads of witchcraft going on, and like she's just shocked. She hates it. So Ursula turns back into her form and takes Ariel with her, and they both dive off because Ariel is now her property. So the Queen tries to prevent Eric from going after Ariel because he tries to get her back, but he goes off anyway to try and get her. So Ariel and Ursula both bump into King Triton, who tries to save Ariel, but the only thing he was able to do was sacrifice his life for Ariel. In turn of sacrificing his life, Ursula was now the ruler of the sea, and she got the trident. So it's a very bad day to be in the sea. So Eric comes swimming down, which he has lungs of steel at this point, and tries to save Ariel and indirectly makes Ursula kill her eels. So that completely enrages her and she goes off on one. Eric and Ariel try to like subdue her. Didn't really do it successfully, but then Ariel ends up getting her out for good. Like Ursula starts stirring the sea like a potion. Brings up like loads of sunken ships and that. So Ariel's on one of these sunken ships and steers it straight into Ursula, so that's Ursula gone. It was much more entertaining than this, and they probably caused like 5 tsunamis during this. And then Triton comes back to life, but because Ariel was quite like traumatized because Triton died, she agreed that she would stay below. She wouldn't interact with humans anymore. Triton is very, very happy about that, and he agrees. So then at this point, 3 weeks pass by, and everyone's mopey and depressed, and the king realises that he needs to do what's best for Ariel and not what he wants to do for himself. And so he turns, like with the help of Sebastian, he realises this, and he turns Ariel back into a human. And then she goes back to the island to find Eric, and they reunite, and it's all cute and loving, and then they get married. And then honeymoon off back to the sea. So the end. That was everything. So in terms of my thoughts and my feelings about this movie, I loved it. I thought it was so good. There were a few subtle changes I noticed, like compared to the original movie, like one of those being that Scuttle is, I don't think she was a she in the first like original movie, but that was Aquafina, I think her name is. Yeah, it was quite a good character. Still had the cluelessness, quite funny, and they included a rap in it, which is quite bizarre, but it wasn't too long where it got annoying. So it was quite a good length of time. King Triton was really good. The sisters were a bit irrelevant. I suppose the only sad thing to see was that Flounder was barely in it at all. Like, he popped in and popped out, which, I mean, yeah, what can you do? Sebastian the Crab was really good. Like, even though they embodied like the original character, like you had the like Jamaican accent, and like I quite liked it because he embodied the original character but also made it his own, and it was just, he was my favourite part. And the way that he reflected off Grimsby, because they were both like stuck up and like, yeah, they were both parallel to each other, because at the beginning they were like no partying, no running off and doing this, and then they like swapped at the end and they were both supporting them, trying to do what's best for them. So it was quite lovely to see. Loved Grimsby, he was amazing. Enjoyed Eric's new song. Eric was quite alright, although when I was watching the movie I was quite annoyed because Eric was meant to be a teenager and Eric's just turned 21, which is odd. But then we don't really know what age she is. So she could be like 19, like Ariel, but we don't know. But he kept annoying me because he kept wanting to find this woman. I know he wanted to thank her and everything, but I'm like, Ariel's right there, what you doing, mate? With the changing of lyrics, you honestly don't even notice it. It just goes in so smoothly, everything's just amazing. Apart from Flounder, I was a bit off-putted by Ursula. I can't remember her name, like the character. I think it was Amy. She, don't get me wrong, she was very good, but it was like quite theatre acting, pantomime, rather than movie like Disney big like acting. It took me out quite a bit. Like, you could tell that she was just, I don't know, I tend to pick up on like the smallest of things, which is quite annoying sometimes. Like, let's say if there was like a gruesome scene, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's, I try and figure out how they do it rather than actually live in it sometimes, which is annoying. I do it unconsciously, but it kept happening with Ursula, because there'll just be moments like she'll be in the corner just going, ha ha ha. And it's just, you could tell that she wasn't truly evil, but like, she was acting evil. And it took me out a bit, but it wasn't bad. Like, I could live with it. Like, she weren't there the whole time. So the human Ursula was like really good. What else? Singing, the music, all amazing, all great. I was a bit concerned at first because, like with The Lion King, I really didn't like the new Lion King soundtrack, because with Disney songs, they're there to portray the emotions and the storyline for the movie, but they used it as an opportunity to just show off their singing skills, and it took me out of the emotion behind the song, like for Lion King. So like, Little Simba did it when Beyonce sang as Nala. That took me out a little bit. But that did not happen in this. Everything was great. I loved everything, and yeah, I suppose you don't need me to flat out say what I thought about this movie. I thought it was amazing. But yeah, I think that covers everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of The Little Mermaid, and if there's anything you didn't really like and anything that you loved about this. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!